If you open up a browser, whether it be Google, DuckDuckGo, Jabril, any browser you would like, of your choice, go to or place it or put in the search column, police have no duty to protect. And you're going to get several files. If you look over to the right on my screen, you got Warren v. District of Columbia. I'm going to pull that up. And in this one here, I believe is Joshua Deschaney. So if you look up police have no duty to protect, you'll hear some people state this, that the Supreme Court ruled that the police have no duty to protect you, and this is why you need to take up arms and defend yourself. And this is true. So let me show you what they're talking about. So I'm going to open up Deschaney first. Deschaney v. Winnebago City, Department of Social Services. This case pretty much is about a child that was neglected. It was suffered child abuse by the hands of his parents, and how the agencies failed to adequately protect this child. The child subsequently suffered severe brain damage and is now, I believe they said, wheelchair bound for the rest of his life. But the opinion by the judge in this case is here. So you can read this for yourself. Deschaney v. Winnebago City, the Winnebago County, I believe, Department of Social Services. If you scroll down to the section here, the state does not have a duty enforceable by the federal courts to maintain a police force or a fire department or to protect children from their parents. The men who framed the original Constitution and the 14th Amendments were worried about governments oppressing the citizenry rather than about its failing to provide adequate social services. For such failures, political remedies, along with such remedies as states might see fit to provide in their own courts, were assumed to be adequate. So you'd have to read this for yourself. And if you're not familiar with legalese and reading legal briefs, this is going to be very, very confusing to you. But I'll just let you know that is where you're going to find the opinion as to how they claim that these agencies do not have a duty to protect. Okay, so that's one case citing, or that's one case. Let me go to the next. That's Deschaney v. Winnebago County Department of Social Services, closing that. And we're going to go to Warren v. District of Columbia. Warren v. District of Columbia, this happens to be a student at a college that called the cops because there was a burglary in progress. The police showed up and didn't adequately search for an issue or search for, the root of the problem, wind up leaving, and then had to be called back. And what ultimately happened was the person who called the police was repeatedly raped and robbed, and over a span of some hours. And they sued the police department. But again, it went through it went through the decision in the lower courts. It was decided, they appealed, it went to higher court, and so on and so forth. So it eventually reached the Supreme Court. So let me read the opinion on this one. Appendix, Superior Court of the District of Columbia, Civil Division, Carolyn Werner et al., Plaintiffs v. District of Columbia et al., Defendants Memorandum Opinion. The court, however, does not agree that the defense would be the county municipal, police department. The court, however, does not agree that defendants owed a specific legal duty to plaintiffs with respect to the allegations made in the amended complaint, for the reason that the District of Columbia appears to follow the well-established rule that official police personnel and the government employing them are not generally liable to the victims of criminal acts for failure to provide adequate police protection. Compare Riza v. District of Columbia. This is another case citing. So this is their opinion. And this is stated over and over and over again. We're going to go further down for another opinion. A publicly maintained police force constitutes a basic governmental service provided to benefit the community at large by promoting public peace, safety, good order. The extent and quality of the police protection afforded to the community necessarily depends upon the availability of public resources and upon legislative or administrative determinations concerning allocation of those resources. Res v. City of New York, Supreme Court. The public, through its representative officials, recruits, trains, maintains, and disciplines its police force and determines the manner in which personnel are deployed. At any given time, publicly furnished police protection may accrue to the personal benefit of individual citizens, but at all times, the needs and interests of the community at large predominate. Private resources and needs have little direct effect upon the nature of police services provided to the public. Accordingly, courts have, without exception, concluded that when a municipality or other governmental entity undertakes to furnish police services, it assumes a duty only to the public at large and not to individual members of the community. Stunning, isn't it? The police have no duty to protect you individually. They have a duty to protect the community as a whole. So it is contingent upon you to be able to protect yourself and protect your family. And there are rules, laws, and constitutions out there set up to facilitate you protecting yourself. It is incumbent upon you to actually utilize what is out there. You only have to call the police when you can't do what you need to do for yourself, or if it gets beyond your realm of capabilities. But you are allowed to defend yourself and defend your home. There's a such thing in New Jersey as a castle doctrine, meaning you are allowed to defend your property against any intruders or any intrusions. So you should be able to protect yourself. How do you do this? By making sure that you apply for a license or permit, by making sure that you get the adequate training, and by following the guidelines that is outlined for you. So I hope this is abundantly clear. Police have no duty to protect, and you should not be relying on them. You need to be relying on your own resources and one another. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go over we're going to continue demystifying the firearms, permits, applications, etc. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go backwards. If you go to, let me keep going back as far as I came. If you go into Google or you go into DuckDuckGo, which I use private browsers, go into DuckDuckGo or Google and put in NYC Premise Permit, and it will bring you to this page. You click this link, and now it brings you into NYPD's website, or New York City's website, but the police department section. Inside the police department section, you're going to see permits and licensing. Go down to firearms licensing. In firearms licensing, let's read this to you guys. Firearms licensing, subject to limited exceptions. Possession of a handgun or rifle shotgun in New York City requires a license for handguns or a permit. For rifles and shotguns issued by NYPD License Division. I'm sorry, let's read that again. Subject to limited exceptions. Possession of a handgun or rifle shotgun in New York City requires a license for handguns or a permit for rifles and shotguns. So you need a license for a handgun, you need a permit for rifles and shotguns issued by the NYPD License Division. As of January 1st, 2018, the NYPD License Division will only be accepting online applications for handgun licenses, rifle shotgun permits, and renewals. At the NYPD Permitting and Licensing public portal, and renewals at the NYPD Permitting and Licensing public portal. Applications on paper will no longer be accepted. To access the portal and learn more about applying online on the computer for a handgun license or a rifle shotgun permit, visit and they give you the link. Now it's telling you about when the division is open, information and the telephone numbers. We don't need all that. We're going to just click this link and go right on in. Now we're into the NYPD License Division. It's giving you the COVID-19 precautions, yada, yada, yada. You're going to scroll down to new application instructions. Okay, click that. In the new applications instructions, let's just read a little bit of this. But we already read that they're only doing online applications, so we don't have to read that. Current and former licensee or permit holders, you don't need to read that one. Here we go down to the overview of handgun license and rifle shotgun permit online application process. Number 1, determine the type of license or permit for which you would like to submit an application. And here are the different types. A premise residence, a premise business, a carry business, a carry guard and security, limited carry, gun custodian, retired law enforcement officer, special carry, or rifle shotgun permit. All right, so you probably didn't know a lot of these things existed. You just thought, oh, I'm going to get a concealed weapon permit, or I'm just going to give me a carry license. It's so many different aspects of licenses and different categories. All right. Now, 2, be aware of eligibility requirements set forth in federal, state, and local law. Some of the main requirements are that you must be at least 21 years of age, of good moral character, and not in a condition, mental or physical, that would make it unsafe for you to possess a firearm. A background check is conducted in which numerous factors are considered, including but not limited to any history of arrest, summonses, domestic violence, orders of protection, mental illness, mental physical conditions, and any medical conditions taken in connection with therewith. Relevant statutes and rules include, but are not limited to, New York State Penal Law, Section 400, Title 18 of the U.S. States Code, Sections 921 and 922, Title 10 of the New York City Administrative Code, Section 301, and sections immediately thereafter, and Title 38 of the Rules of the City of New York, particularly Chapters 3 and 5. And it tells you about the other requirements, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need to go into all of that. But now, let's go down to license and permit types. Now, this is for New York City, for those that came in late. The NYPD issues several different types of handgun licenses with varying restrictions. The information below will help you determine which type of handgun license is appropriate for you. Premise license. This is a restricted type of license. It is issued for your residence or business. The licensee may possess a handgun only on the premise of the address indicated on front of the license. Licensee may also transport their handguns and ammunition in separate locked containers directly to and from an authorized range or hunting location. For hunting, an endorsement from NYPD License Division is required, in addition to a New York State hunting license. Handguns must be unloaded while being transported. That's the premise license. Carry business license. This license permits the carrying of a handgun concealed on the person. It is valid for the business name, address, and handguns listed on the license. It is not transferable to any person, business, occupation, or address without the written approval of the license division's commanding officer. This license may be also issued for safety reasons unrelated to business. Limited carry business license. This is a restricted type of license. The licensee may only carry handguns indicated on the license in accordance with the specific limitations limited thereon. At all other times, the handgun must be safeguarded within the confines of the address listed on the front of the license, and either concealed on the licensee's person in a proper holster or stored unloaded in a locked safe. That's the limited carry business license. Moving down to the special carry license. The special carry license is valid for business name, address, and handguns listed on the license. Only while the licensee has in his possession a valid carry county license issued according to the provision of Article 400 of New York State Penal Law. Upon revocation, suspension, or cancellation of the basic county license, the special carry license is rendered void and must be immediately returned to the license division. For retired law enforcement officers who wish to apply for a special carry handgun license, follow the instructions listed below. Instructions for law enforcement, non-NYPD retirees who reside out of New York City. That was for the special carry. Now we're going down to the carry guard license. This is one I had. Carry security guards, etc. This is a restricted type of license. Application for this type of license must be made with the documentation provided by a company's gun custodian. It is issued only for the handgun listed on the license. The handgun may be carried on only while the licensee is actively engaged in employment for the company whose name appears on the license and or while licensee is in transit directly to or from residence and place of employment. At all of the times, the handgun must be stored unloaded in a locked container at either the address on the license or at the employee's legal residence within the state of New York. That's for the carry guard license. Next is the rifle shotgun permit. This permit is issued for the possession and purchase of rifles and shotguns. It's a rifle and shotgun permit. It's the most easiest permit to get in the United States. That's an exaggeration, but you know, I'm sarcastic at times. Rifle shotgun permit. This permit is issued for the possession and purchase of rifles and shotguns. New York will let you get this pretty easy, okay? Law enforcement retiree license. This type of license for retired law enforcement officers, okay? So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You have the different types of licenses, what is available to you, and according to your status, your history, it will determine on what license you can apply for and qualify for. If you have a legal business in New York, you may be able to apply for a carry business. So keep these things in mind, read through it and see which one applies for you and apply, okay? So that is for New York. We're gonna close these windows as we move on to the next state. Or also, let me go to another site that's gonna give you a little bit of information. It's called Guns to Carry. A lot of these sites give very good information. If you go straight to the statutes and codes that was just listed and then NYPD, let me go back there real fast. They had them listed here. The relevant statutes and codes. If you look at Penal Law Section 400, Title 18, you know, these different, if you go directly to these statutes and codes or the ordinances, you'll get you'll go to the horse's mouth, so to speak. So websites such as this one here, Guns to Carry, go to those statutes, codes, and ordinances and read up on what the law is, and they add that information into their own sites. So these, and my battery is very low. So members only, I'm sorry, this is gonna close or this is gonna stop, but we'll continue here on this screen here. So I'm gonna let that play until it stops. But for everyone else, when you go into Guns to Carry, and they keep their information pretty much up to date. Let me go to the state gun laws. Go to the state. Okay, we're looking for New York. In New York, can you carry in a vehicle? See details. I'll explain that one. Must notify officer. You do not have to notify an officer that you are armed. State park carry? No. Gun size enforced? You got to see details on that. Open carry? There's no open carry in New York State. Can you carry in a restaurant? Sure. If you have a limited carry, if you have a concealed carry, if you have a permit that allows you to carry on your person, yes, you could walk into certain restaurants and carry. Constitutional carry, no. So, come on. What I wanted to show you, and actually you see the list here? They're giving you the laws, where to find them. What I was going to try to look up was, can you purchase ammo in New York, which is going to be covered in the ammo section. You cannot, well, I'm going to say with a valid permit. No, let me not say that. I don't want to steer anybody in the wrong direction. We'll get to ammo in a second. We'll get to ammo in a second. There are certain things that you can and you cannot do. Some retail carry permit required. Okay, here's one. For handguns, a carry permit is required. Yes. For long guns, no. To purchase handguns, yes. To purchase long guns, no. Registration of firearm, yes. Long guns, no. Okay, so pay attention to this because they actually, go into the law itself. The NYPD is not going to be as specific because New York is one of the most gun restrictive states in the union. New York and New Jersey are both two peas in a pod. So they're not going to outline certain things that you can do on their site. They're mostly going to list things that you can do. It is up to you to go to the codes that they listed and see what you can and you can't do. What are the variances? Okay. So notice here, is there a carry permit required for a long gun? No. What is a long gun? It's a shotgun. It's a rifle. Let's stick with rifle. Let's stick with rifle. So when we talk about long guns here, we're going to talk about rifle for this instance here. But if you go back to New York State and you listen to the types of permits, rifle and shotgun, this permit is issued for the possession and purchase of rifles and shotguns. There's no statutes or codes listed under that. There are really no statutes listed under the other types. But again, if you go straight to the NYPD website, they're not going to give you all of the details. You need to read the statute, the code, and ordinance for yourself. Okay? So give you that little bit of information. Do your own due diligence. Don't just go by the NYPD. The NYPD don't make the laws. The NYPD enforces the laws. So they're not going to give you all of the information. All right. I've hawked on that point long enough. Let's move on. So you see this information here, please go do your own due diligence. There is no permit required to open carry a shotgun, a rifle, rifle, and out in the open. In other words, when the Black Panthers moved on to the Capitol, or they stormed the Capitol, or they stormed it, but when they arrived at the Capitol with their handguns, they were legally allowed to carry them openly. In New York, let's read this here. Is open carry allowed for handguns? No. For long guns? Yes. You can open carry your long gun. Will it raise alarm? Will it raise, yes. When people are not accustomed to seeing people carry a weapon out in public, it will raise alarms. Should you do it? No. If you're doing it as a protest, like you had certain militias go on the Capitol, you can do it. Should you do it? It's questionable. Should us brothers do it? We got to be very careful. We'd have to do it in very big numbers, and we'd have to give them we should give them prior notice of what we're doing. They may not agree with what we're doing, but they cannot tell us we can't because the law is clear. And before this video is over, I'll actually go to New York penal law and show you in writing that it's allowed. Because NYPD ain't gonna tell you that. All right, so this is getting ready to stop. Members only, I appreciate you. I'm sorry I didn't plug in the power. I will be better with that in the next video. I promise. I apologize again. So this is for New York, and this site is gunstocarry.com. Gunstocarry.com. Please visit that site and look up your particular state's rules and regulations and what you can and you cannot do according to your state. This is updated as of 2019. They haven't passed anything since, so it's still good, good information. But moving right along. So I'm going to pull up New Jersey just to get things set for the next conversation, because we're moving on to New Jersey. So let's close this out, and head to New Jersey. Now, in New Jersey, well, no, I didn't set it up. I apologize. Let's do it now. We're going to go to a browser, and we're going to put in New Jersey Firearm Permit. Let's do both. Let's do firearm laws. Let me see if I can open this in another tab. Can't. Let me just pull this up. And New Jersey. Let's start with the first one. Gun laws, New Jersey. Wikipedia. Wikipedia is somewhat reliable. For the sake of time, we're going to use this one. So firearms, childproof handgun, limits and restrictions, permits to purchase and own. Okay, in New Jersey, anyone seeking to purchase firearms, one does not need to obtain a firearms purchase. Okay, I like it already. All right, it's going to tell you the truth here. In New Jersey, anyone seeking to purchase firearms, and then they put the parentheses here, one does not need to obtain a firearms purchaser identification card to own, possess, and home, transport firearms to and from authorized target range, to a gunsmith for purposes of repair, or to the woods or fields of the state of purpose of hunting. Remember this little section there. Anyone seeking to purchase items or firearms is required to obtain a lifetime firearm purchaser identification card, commonly referred to FID, for the purchase of rifles and shotguns. To purchase a handgun, a separate permit is needed from the chief of police of their municipality or the superintendent of police or state police, if the municipality does not have a local police department. A permit is required for each handgun to be purchased and expires after 90 days, but may be extended for an additional 90 days at the discretion of the chief of police or superintendent of state police. These, like the initial firearms purchase identification card, FID, are provided to applicants on a shall issue basis. They require in-depth application, questioning, multiple references, and background checks via the State Bureau of Identification and New Jersey State Police. However, authorities do not have discretion and must issue permits to applicants who satisfy the criteria described in the statutes. Reasons for denial include being convicted of a crime equivalent to a felony or disorderly persons offense equivalent to a misdemeanor. In the case of domestic violence, as of August 2013, anyone on the terror watch list is also disqualified. So let's go back, because Wikipedia, to my surprise, gave you a chunk of information that you need to read. Where should we start? Okay. Like the initial firearms purchaser identification card, FID, are provided to applicants on a shall issue basis. They require in-depth application questioning, multiple references, and background checks via the State Bureau of Identification and New Jersey State Police. However, authorities do not have discretion and must issue permits to applicants who satisfy the criteria described in the statutes. And we really should pull up the statutes there, because understand, they're not going to tell you what they don't want to tell you. It's their website, it's their information, and they'll give you what they want to give you. However, the law is the law, and it tells you here they don't have a discretion to not issue one. So if you are not one of those that fall under the list that, like I said, is going to put on the screen, if you don't fall under having a mental disability, you don't have disorderly conduct, not disorderly, domestic violence issues, if you don't have a criminal history, then their hands are tied. They have to give you this permit. You get that? All right, so all those are sitting back saying, oh, I'll never get it. And, you know, don't tell yourself no. Let them tell you no. Now, if they do tell you no, make sure you follow up. Don't just take no and walk away, because oftentimes they'll just say no to see how you're going to respond. Oh, he didn't really want it. No, let them know you're serious and you exercise your right. That this is your right and you want it. So stand firm, be respectful, and get what's yours. Now, I think we read enough on this topic. Let's go over ghost guns real fast. I'm surprised it's here. New Jersey outlawed the manufacture and sale of ghost guns in 2018 and the transfer and possession in 2019, along with 3D printing guns, including possessing or sharing computer code that can be used to program the printing of such guns. The law is being challenged in court. So I spoke about this in my last video, and I'm going to leave it there because they'll give something a name that is not really a name. It's private firearms. They cannot tell you what you can and cannot do with your private firearms. Just like there's not a debate, but there's an issue going on right now as we speak, as the President of the United States is talking about sending federal troops or federal officers into the states to help out with law enforcement activities. And states such as New York and New Jersey is pushing back and saying, no, you can't do that. It's unconstitutional. It is. The federal government cannot step on the state's toes unless there is federal property. So if you have a federal court, like a district court, or if you have federal property in your state, that's where the federal officers can be deployed to, and they can only operate on that federal area, that federal property. They cannot operate in the streets. So just like the government can make laws stating that its citizens can't do such and such and so, it can't tell private people what to do. So as long as you're not a citizen, you're not subject to them, subject to their rules and regulations, then that doesn't apply to you. What you do in the private, you do in the private, you're allowed to. Now, once you bring it into the public, that's a different story. There's different variances that need to take place. There's things that need to take place. However, it is still your property, and they cannot delegate or regulate what you do with your property, as long as you're not manufacturing it for sale or distribution. So what they call ghost gun, we're going to call private firearms. If you make your own private firearm, I really highly suggest you put it into your firearms trust. You claim it on your UCC1 or a UCC3 addendum, and that covers you. So private people do private things, and we don't let them call our firearm a ghost gun. We don't, even handgun, it's not a handgun, it's a firearm. So their statutes and their codes and their ordinances will outlaw or ban handguns or regulate handguns. A handgun is something that is manufactured by one of their subsidiaries or one of their franchises, a company that is registered to the United States. So you don't have a handgun. You don't have a ghost gun. You have a firearm. And that's what you're going to allow it to be called, or that's what you're going to call it. You're not going to allow them to call it a handgun. So keep that in mind, and I'm moving right along. So I've showed you New Jersey. Let's go into New Jersey's laws. Can you carry in a vehicle? Must notify officer. No, if you have a concealed weapon, or if you have a weapon in your vehicle being transported, you do not have to tell the officer that you have a firearm or weapon. Now, let's go back to carrying vehicle. Carrying vehicle, I wouldn't suggest you do this unless you are confident in yourself. Your firearm can be transported in your vehicle, and a lock container and the ammunition must be separate. So if you are operating your vehicle and you have your firearm in there, no one knows if you're going to and from the range, if you're just leaving work. They don't know where you're going until you open up your mouth and you tell on yourself. So this is the instance where they say, shut up. Do not tell on yourself. Do not talk to police. Do not answer any questions. Be quiet. Let them piece together your whereabouts or your comings and your goings. And they better be right. But as long as you don't open up your mouth, you're lawful and you're legal. So can you carry in your vehicle? Sure you can. If you have a permit to carry, concealed weapon, different things, you may be able to carry on your person. If not, it should be in a locked container and separate from the ammunition. Must you notify the officer? Like I said, no. Carry in state parks, you got to see details. So let's go down to see details. It's going to open up all of these things, and we're going to briefly go through them. I'm surprised you guys are still hanging on. That's good. It's going to be cutting off soon. I apologize again. Talking to my members only for those that can't see what's going on. And it's dying now. Vehicle carry. Without a permit, without a license, carrying a loaded handgun inside any vehicle without a permit or license in New Jersey is illegal, unless the handgun is unloaded and contained in a closed and securely fastened case or locked in the trunk. Okay, and open carry. No, without a permit or license. Open carrying a handgun without or with a permit license in New Jersey is illegal. Open carrying a handgun without or with a permit or license in New Jersey is illegal. Your permit license gives you the right to carry a concealed firearm, and you must carry it concealed. But no, there is actually no law that bans open carry in New York. There is a lot of debate on that, but New Jersey and New York are, again, two peas in a pod, and you want to be very, very careful with some things. So there may not be an actual law, but they will come after you. So, with the shotgun and with the rifle, well, let's go to that list in a second. Let's go to restaurant carry real fast. Yes, in restaurants that serve alcohol. Yes or no states if you can carry in a restaurant that serves alcohol. Some restaurants may be posted with no gun signs. Check with the staff. If this means just the bar area, if we have indicated a yes, then it should be legal to have a meal without drinking alcohol. State park carry, blah, 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 blah. Yes, you're permitted to carry in state forests. Roadside rest areas. All right, let's go back. We were looking for reciprocation. We're not going to discuss that in this. Open carry. I don't know why all the details did not come up like they did for New York. Okay, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to come up as it did for New York. So we're going to move right along. What do you have to do for New York, for New Jersey? Now, let's go to the gun laws. Is this New Jersey? Yes, it is New Jersey. You need a permit. Oh, permit information. No. Okay, if you reside in New Jersey, you must apply with the municipal police department where you reside. If the municipality where you reside is serviced by New Jersey State Police, you must apply at the station which covers your municipality. Out-of-state residents must apply for the New Jersey State Police Station and must apply to the New Jersey State Police Station nearest their geographical location. Armored car employees must apply with the New Jersey State Police regardless of where they reside. New Jersey does not have laws which allow individuals with valid permits to carry a handgun from other states. New Jersey does not have laws which allow individuals with valid permits to carry a handgun from other states to carry a handgun in New Jersey. So they don't reciprocate. They don't honor any other state's carry permit. That's good to know. Processing times, not important. Must notify officer, no weapon signs. We went through all of that. All right. So how do you go about getting your permit? You're going to go online to their portal, Firearms Application Registration System, and you're going to, go to your site or your all of this must be done online. Now, when you apply, you're going to need the ORI number. It fails me. What is that acronym for? However, an ORI is the police department's specific number. So if you are, let's say, in Newark, you would call the Newark Police Department and you would get their ORI number. If you're in East Orange, you would call East Orange to get their ORI number. And you fill out the application. Everything is done online. You will go online. I believe this is a portal here. You will go online and you will begin the process. And you have to start with that number. I'll show you here. See, it won't let you go any further unless you put in that department's ORI number. So you could call your precinct, call your state barracks or wherever you need to call, your local municipality, and get that number and let them know you're applying for the firearms purchase identification card. And then you can begin the process. It walks you through it step by step. You're going to need two personal references. You're going to need to be fingerprinted, and they'll give you an option of different locations where you can go to get your fingerprints done, and everything is automated. So once you do go and get your fingerprints done, the system automatically sends it to where it needs to go, and you just have to wait the allocated amount of time. They will call you up and tell you your permit is ready, and you go pick it up. All right. So that's New York. That's New Jersey. And let me jump into this real fast before I even touch on Pennsylvania. This is ammo.com. Now, purchasing firearms online, depending on where you live at, may be legal or illegal. In New York and New Jersey, you can purchase firearms. And for argument's sake, for this argument, for this here, I go into more detail in private sessions and members only sections, but for argument's sake, you can order a firearm online, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and you can have it sent to your closest federal firearms licensee. That individual or that company can accept your firearm, and you can go to them to make the pickup. Okay. In certain instances, you can have the firearm or ammunition sent directly to your home. You are going to have to do your research on that unless we have a private conversation, and I'll fill you in. But for argument's sake, yes, you can order a firearm online. Yes, you can order ammunition online. Most of the time, it will need to go through a federal firearms licensee. That could be your local gun store. That could be your local pawn shop if they have a FFL there. You call them up, let them know that you're about to order a firearm. You're going to have it sent to them. You give them a heads up, and they'll say, oh, no problem. They will say it's no problem because they get $30, $40. Sometimes some places charge more, to accept your firearm for you or accept ammunition for you. Now, if you are a permit holder, you may be able to get your ammunition delivered straight to your door. I've given you the information. Please do your due diligence and look up what the hell I'm talking about. Now, for the sake of time, I'm going to leave Pennsylvania out of this conversation because I've given you a lot of information right now. I hope I've demystified this process for New York and New Jersey. And please, please, please do your own due diligence and look up this information. So I am ending this conversation, this video now, and there will be another part. And hopefully what I've missed in these last 3 parts, I will cover in the next part. So I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. I thank you for being a part of the experience. This is Brownsville, demystifying firearm purchasing and firearm ownership. And I hope I've helped someone. Peace and power, everybody.